Welcome to Truth in Life Today with Congregation Adat Ariel, Jewish believers in Jesus and teachers of spiritual warfare. If you'd like to speak with us tonight, call 618-924-1851. And now, here's the lovely and talented producer Deb.
Welcome to the Truth in Life broadcast, where we do our best every week to bring you a biblical perspective of the things we see going on around us and in the headlines around the world in the same tradition established for this program by Rabbi Moshe Lori. I am producer Deb, and sitting with me at the table,
Richard Peck. I'm glad to be here.
And over here in the corner, this is Jim. And once again, everyone, if you have questions or comments, feel free to give us a call at 618-924-1851.
And this is the fifth night of Hanukkah. It will be going on through till Sunday. So actually till Monday, technically. Monday is the official conclusion, but the Dot Ariel has been lighting the menorah at the Tower Square every night. So we have not this time been able to bring that to you live, but we have been doing that. Enjoyed the Hanukkah party we had last night with Rabbi Vernon Bell and his teaching, and then tomorrow night we will have Shabbat, and then next week on Thursday is Christmas Day, so there's not going to be any a Hebrew class next Wednesday. We will not be having a show next Thursday, and we are not having Shabbat next week either. So because figured that everybody's got family plans, and so we will return. We will do a show. Jim and I will do a show, I guess, the next time after this one on January 1st. So we'll be here. If you want to join us, you can.
I may be here. It depends on how cold it is.
It depends. From what I understand, well, I don't know by January 1st, but I know by Christmas, it's supposed to be just downright balmy.
Really?
I think like a 70-degree high around here.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
And so that's...
we just experienced 8.
Yes, we've come out of the deep freeze, and we're going to go the opposite direction. So, that's what we're going to have to... Well, no sledding for the kids. If they get a sled, they'll have to go up north, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, today they could, but it had been in mud.
Yeah, mud. It was like the rain was, it's been raining. Now, front's coming through. We'll have a cold day, I think, on Friday, and then the warm up. That's what's been happening. But it's been a good time for it was a restart to lighting that menorah up at the Tower Square. We had a couple really cold nights, so if we have some balmy conditions after this, it'll be nice.
You did find a place to plug it in down there.
Yeah.
They've renovated that whole square. That's why I wondered again.
Well, it's not in exactly the same place as it was last year. It was kind of first come, first serve, and we were trying to get a stand put together.
Yeah.
And it didn't get done until like the Friday before Hanukkah. Is that right?
I think so, because our Hanukkah started on Sunday.
So we put it up on Saturday.
Yeah.
And and it looks good.
Yeah.
It's not white, but it looks good. I mean, once we get it white, it'll be great.
Well,
but it's serving well.
It's a really nice base. I actually haven't quite seen it yet because it's covered with a blue tarp.
Right.
It's made out of I guess steel, and it was too cold to paint it and prime it and all of that sort of stuff. So by next year, you should maybe be able to see the stand.
But it's got a iron base to it, and on the inside, it's wood cut with the circle cut to fit the menorah when you put it in there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got a little bit to it, but I put door shims in all around it to kind of hold it in place and keep it upright, and it looks really good.
That was always a challenge every year because we couldn't put it in between the light posts anymore. So they, like you said, they've completely changed the square.
Yeah, square looks gorgeous.
And so
and like you said, we had to tie it off with bungee cords between two lights before, stick a pole in the ground, and that held it in place.
Yeah.
Well, now we've just got the stand. We don't even need the bungees anymore, which is very cool.
Right.
It's very nice. It stands, and it's I hope Chuck somewhere, wherever Chuck is in the heavenlies that he can see that.
Yeah. I mean, and Deb and I were actually talking on the phone after I put it up. She asked how it went. I was like, that's as smooth as it's ever gone. And I mean, we stuck the light bulbs on it before we stuck it in the base, and I was just amazed. So it went really well.
Yeah.
This
If you haven't been to Marion, Illinois, they have totally renovated the square with the clock tower, and it is absolutely gorgeous.
I believe you can go online and see you can see the square.
That's right.
And I believe at the bottom of the screen would be the menorah. You can actually see the menorah there. So yeah. So
what is that? I don't know what that.
Is it on Facebook?
I think it's on Facebook. I think you sent it to me last year.
Oh, very Merry Marion. Yeah, that was they posted that the kids went down, I guess, and sang today from the junior high. So they had a very merry Marion on there, and they're prominent there in the pictures. So as the kids were doing their thing, but this has been a very like I said, we're trying to celebrate the joy of the season, but it's been very difficult. And we had a little bit of a false start on the show here because we've had some internet troubles. But anyway, I had to mention if you had been praying for my cousin Mary Bell, she passed last Tuesday evening. So she actually much the same way my mother did. She had been on so much oxygen. She had a condition called lung vasculitis, which is it's a type of arthritis and it can settle anywhere in your body. It's an autoimmune situation and it's still in her lungs. So she was using so much oxygen that they were concerned about her heart. Well, evidently she was complaining to evening that she was having shoulder pain, left shoulder pain. And she was just sitting there and I took her last breath basically. And so she probably her heart gave out, and so that's what happened. Much like what my mom did, because there's a just a couple hours before, there's a picture that sent me that Mary Bell had sent her, and she looked. I mean, yeah, she had her oxygen mask on, but she didn't look like she was 2 hours away from passing away. So but that is a blessing in as hard as it is that she didn't she was struggling so hard to breathe and it's like it would be like drowning.
Yeah.
And I think she had a great fear that she was going to suffocate basically and in this way she doesn't have to suffer anymore. So that's
amen.
And so we will have a celebration of her life in January. But I had brought up this. Someone had written this out, and I think I had sent it in a text to Jim. Even it says it was written by Dab or BABB. It says if you aren't aware of what's going on right now, let me break it down for you. Jews worldwide are being hunted down and killed. It's only day 3 of Hanukkah at the time this, and we've already seen 1 Jews murdered by a jihadi father-son duo in Australia that seriously wounded many people. 2 students at Brown were murdered in a class being taught by Rachel Friedberg, a Jewish professor who leads the school's Judaic studies program. A Jewish professor of nuclear physics at MIT was murdered in his home today. And they believe that there's a connection with the 2 of those. They're on a manhunt right now. Number 4, Orthodox Jews in New York were violently assaulted on the subway. Number 5, violent Palestinian protesters disrupted a peaceful Hanukkah celebration in Amsterdam. Dozens were arrested after the police had to physically surround families celebrating the holiday to protect them. Number 6, a Jewish family in California had their home hit by gunfire because they had Hanukkah decorations up. One of the criminals shouted, "Free Palestine." 7, an Islamic terrorist attack has been foiled in Poland at a Christmas market. Number 8, an Islamic terrorist attack has been foiled in Germany at a Christmas market. A Palestinian terrorist attack was foiled in California.
Wow.
Number 10, France has canceled its New Year's Eve celebrations because of the terrorist threat level. And number 11, Canada Integrated Terrorism Assessment Center has said a terrorist attack in Canada is now a realistic possibility. And this man said, I've been studying terrorism for 20 years and I've never seen things this bad. The West is full stop. The question now is, what the hell are we going to do about it? Is his words. So yes, this is
Well,
quite something.
as Christians, we should always be aware of the fact that things are going to get worse. And we know that from the scripture that it's going to get worse and worse and worse until Jesus Christ comes back again.
Mm-hmm.
And there is not going to be any peace in the Middle East, I'm sorry,
Nope.
Until Jesus comes back.
Nope.
And you can talk about peace all you want over there. I happen to like President Trump, and he's talking about peace in the Middle East. It's not going to happen.
Nope.
So just be aware of that.
He has banned Palestinians from coming into the country
Right,
now.
Right.
This other thing was posted by Amir Tsarfati, written by someone named Dan Burmawi. It says Arab countries won't send forces to Gaza because if they do, the truth will come out. If any Arab force clashes with Hamas, their own people will rise against them.
Yeah.
In the collective consciousness of the Islamic world, Hamas is doing jihad. Any Arab force fighting them would be seen as fighting Allah himself.
Right.
No Arab leader wants that, so they'll let Israel handle it alone while keeping up their public criticism to save face.
Right.
So these things are going on as well. But speaking of President Trump, Mark Levin has called Trump the first Jewish president. Conservative commentator Mark Levin offered praise for President Donald Trump's role and significance in the Jewish community on Tuesday, calling Jewish president during a Hanukkah reception at the White House. I guess, if Bill Clinton can be the first Black president, then Donald Trump can be the first Jewish president, right?
Well, it's more apropos, I can tell you that. I can even say that that's true.
Yeah.
President Donald Trump hosted a Hanukkah reception after a suspected father and son terrorist duo killed at least 15 people during a Hanukkah celebration at Bondi Beach in Australia. The attack, which authorities are treating as anti-Semitic, involved individuals previously investigated by Australian intelligence for ties to the Islamic State, and ISIS flags were reportedly found in their vehicle. In response to the anti-Semitic violence.
Be a clue.
Yeah, it could be. Trump urged Jewish people to celebrate Hanukkah proudly and to be proud of who you are.
Right.
House Trump was joined by various guests, including radio host and political commentator Mark Levin. He loves Israel too, Levin said, prompting Trump to respond, "It's true." Levin then recalled a previous moment saying, 6 years ago, I was up here and I said, this is our first Jewish president. Trump again said, "It's true." Levin added, now he's the first Jewish president to serve 2 not consecutive presidencies. President Trump stated, bad things happened on the second one, namely the election was rigged and we found out. Levin concluded his remarks with a personal note of gratitude, saying, and you are the greatest. Thank you very much. God bless you. I missed you.
For all of you out there in the watching, I think the election was not rigged. I would advise you to go to BibleCodes.in.z and sorry, take that dot out. BibleCodes.in.z in when you go to YouTube, go to the YouTube search YouTube search engine, put in their Bible codes in.z, and you'll find out by watching those codes that God clearly says, now these are codes that have been in there 3,500 years and just now being discovered. God clearly says that election was well, it was corrupt. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There was nothing good about that election. And Biden and Kamala Harris were the ones that corrupted it.
Yep.
And it got jailed.
That's exactly right. The who knew about it and actually saved the evidence to prove it got jailed and is in jail, but Trump just
Just
her.
pardoned her after she
That's
was
right.
But they
attacked. And
still haven't.
oh, really?
Yeah, and who was it that's saying, "Let her out. She's been pardoned."
Yeah,
Who was it?
I don't know.
Somebody has stepped up. I can't remember right off the hand. But somebody is saying, "Why hasn't she been let out?"
By the way, can I talk about the next
Mhm.
Bible code real quick?
Sure.
There was another Bible code that came out this week, and it's on
Mamdani.
Zoran Mamdani, which is the elected mayor of New York City. And what God says in that Bible code is that Zoran Mamdani is a radical Islamist.
Yes, he was.
He's radical, and there's going to be problems involved.
I said his most redeeming quality was that he was a. That's the best thing about him.
That's right.
And
He is an anti-Semitic,
Right.
Islamic
Right.
jihadist.
Right.
This is how uneducated some people are.
Yeah.
I actually had somebody last week say, "What the heck is a socialist?"
Right.
And I said, "I am so glad you
Yeah.
asked."
Yes.
You know, for those of you who don't know, it is a form of government
Right.
that is one step below communism.
That's exactly right.
In the name USSR, it stood for United Soviet Socialist Republic.
That's right.
It's supposed to be a good thing where everybody gets the same amount of money, but it doesn't work.
Right.
No.
And really, it's communism.
Yeah.
Right. It's
You know?
what the socialists are what fueled the early government of Israel.
Right.
The kibbutz system is based on a lot of that. You know, that
Socialism sounds great.
it sounds great.
Doesn't work.
Everybody's going to be equal, and we're all going to
Yeah.
share. And of course, the beginning of this country, they found out that didn't work
Right.
when they came over here.
The reason it doesn't work is because people have differing degrees of initiative.
Right.
And some decide they're not going to work at all.
Right.
And so, our Lord says, hey, if you don't work, don't eat.
You don't eat.
Right.
And that essentially.
Was it William Bradford that?
Yeah, it was the Pilgrims.
The Pilgrims.
When the Pilgrims came over the first year they were here, it was like, everybody, it was share and share alike.
Right.
But it's like you said,
Right.
not everybody has the same work ethic.
Right.
And so they found out that it truly, people weren't doing anything,
Right.
and some people were doing all the work.
Right.
And so the next year, and Rush Limbaugh goes into the story of the Thanksgiving. The next year, they went to a more capitalist system. You don't work.
Right.
Work, you don't eat. That's what it should be.
And then they could work for their land, and they had their own.
Yeah.
They traded more, like
Right.
whoever was good at one thing, that's what they specialized in. So they traded between, and that's like you said, the beginning of a capitalist system.
And production went up.
Yeah.
And the reason they didn't have to rely on the Indians anymore, because the first year they relied a lot on the Indians, and it's because nobody wanted to do anything.
Yeah.
Right. Well, they showed them how to plant and what grew here, coming from a place that had totally different agricultural things.
Now, if we look at the first church, which was in Jerusalem, they put all their money and gave it to the disciples, who dispensed it accordingly. And guess what the was?
Ananias and Sapphira.
The end result of that was that poor, that Paul had to take up an offering throughout the European or throughout the Roman Empire to support that church.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't even many people think that Christianity is that type of system. Not.
Right.
Christianity is strictly, if you don't work, you don't eat.
Right.
And I think it's the reason that I bring that up is because I'm wondering how many people in this country know what socialism is.
Oh, you're right. They don't.
Oh, they don't know.
And if they
especially
don't,
the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say Mamdani's a socialist all you want.
Right.
Ilhan Omar, the Squad, whatever.
Right.
Oh, yeah, so they're a socialist. Big deal.
And I hear there are people on my Facebook page that are leftist, and they're saying, oh, we have a socialist system here in our government, because of of all of the they say
Giveaways.
you like it, you like socialism, you just and it's like I think they try to equate Social Security to a socialistic type of thing. It's like, no, you've paid into that, you've
Yeah.
worked for that.
Right.
But then, of course, like you said, all these people get these government subsidies. Oh, well, that's socialism, they say.
Yeah.
We're those of us who have are trying to help out those who don't, and all this kind of
Well,
stuff.
Social Security was never supposed to be permanent.
That's
No.
right.
It was supposed to be a temporary thing.
Right.
The
Right.
401k system was put in. It wasn't supposed to be your retirement.
Mm.
It was supposed to be to help you with your income in times where it's kind of like having a savings account for a rainy day. That's what a 401k was supposed to do.
Right.
And
People made money off of it. And the government, they're trying to make people think that oh, we're supporting you,
right,
and they use it in political as they do all of this stuff.
right.
It's just like when they came along with gambling and everybody was going to legalize gambling. Oh, this is going to help the educational system. So okay, it was supposed to supplement the educational
Right.
system. What happened immediately? What they did is they took the education funds that were set aside and they put that in the big slush fund and depended upon gambling revenue to support the schools.
Right.
Right.
That's why our schools have gone down. They took away the original money and gave it to the rest of the
Yeah,
government
right.
in this big slush fund.
Yeah.
And where
that-
did that original money go?
Yep.
It disappeared, didn't it?
Yep.
Well, in
It's off
Illinois,
the-
where it went.
It went off
Well,
the
in
books.
most states, it's
And
probably
so
like
everybody's like, well, we need more funding for
Yeah.
schools. We have the problem. They said, I think I even heard President Trump say that we are the number one nation in funding schools,
Right.
and our students are toward the bottom of the barrel.
That's
That's
terrible.
because we're teaching kids what it's to be tolerant of Muslims and just tolerant.
But the
they're not
other
being they're
thing-
not being taught how to read, write, and
Right.
arithmetic.
It's a circular thing.
Right.
The money's not going to the schools.
Right.
The money
Right.
goes into the education
Right.
fund. It goes to the teachers union. The teachers union and takes it and puts it back into the Democratic Party to
Right.
get the people elected and reelected.
Yeah.
It's not going to the schools.
Right.
They're stealing our tax money and then they're funneling it into their political candidates that they want to reelect through this
That's right.
educational fund.
That's
Right.
right.
And that's what's happening. Schools are not getting funded.
So that's
So-
why our students can't read or write.
Right. Right. So it's
And-
all
and-
corrupt.
And that's that lady is truly the start of socialism.
That's
Yes,
exactly
that
right.
is.
Here lately, when I sign something, I say, "Look, there's a signature that you can actually read,"
Right.
and you'd be surprised at how many people tell me we've got a lot of people come in here that they cannot read cursive writing.
Right.
Yeah,
Because they don't write cursive.
They only print.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they can't read cursive at all.
Right. They on a computer. It doesn't. A lot of it doesn't write in cursive. There's no cursive font on a computer.
Nope.
Yeah. Mississippi and Louisiana discovered that their students were so bad with the systems that they had, they went back to the old phonics system,
Oh yeah.
and now their students are starting to excel
Right.
with the old phonics.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Which,
And saying that they're excelling.
Yeah.
Would be like me saying I'm the best plumber in White Ash, Illinois.
Yeah.
Now I don't know. Look up White Ash. Really, it's not a town anymore. It used to be a city,
Yeah.
around here, but it only had 100 people in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, it's the education system's gotten so bad that when they're excelling, there's like excelling compared to who?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
It's terrible when I've told this before. I was a tutor I was a tutor here at the local community college, and I was a tutor in St. Louis.
Uh-huh.
By the time I got to the university system up there in St. Louis, I was a tutor of math. Don't ask me to do that now. You got to stay in mathematics. It's like language, and it's like most of that stuff's gone. But anyway, because you just have to use it all the time. It's just like any language. And that's what I tried to explain to people that I was tutoring. I said, this is a language. We're learning a language. Yeah,
Mhm.
we've got numbers and X's and Y's and all, but we're
Right.
learning a language to describe things.
Yeah.
So, and we're just doing it,
Yeah.
in a different way.
I, s-
And
I still remember my mother when I was in grade school telling me when I could not understand math. She says, "Well, Richard, you have to memorize your multiplication tables."
yes,
Yeah.
but when I got to the university system, I was one of the few.
Yeah.
Me and one other girl, we were Americans.
Mhm.
Everybody else in the tutor program were foreign students.
Oh my!
And they were the geniuses. I mean, they were smart. There was a girl that was from Spain, and she wanted to be, I mean, she wanted to stay in the United States because she was studying how to make satellites.
Yeah.
There was no satellite program in Spain.
Yeah.
They didn't have any Spain,
Yeah.
So it's like, what are you going to do with all,
Yeah.
But she had no desire to go home because she wanted to stay here so she could practice what she was, and maybe she did. I don't
Yeah.
know. Brilliant girl. But that's the thing. It's like there were no American students at
Yeah.
that
Well, I've
level.
got a story to tell on that one too. My wife has a relative, and I'm not going to mention the name of this relative. This relative it was planning on being an English teacher, and the relative, I'm not going to say he or she, the relative wrote us a letter thanking us for his graduation gift after he graduated from high school. And the English in it was so bad. I'm not an English major.
Yeah.
And I
Yep.
looked at that and I said, there's absolutely no way that this person is going to graduate in English.
Right.
And guess what? The person
Right.
Right.
in the first semester of college.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you can teach yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
I had to take an electrician's test twice. And the first time I didn't know what was in it. And it was a bunch of algebra. And
Yeah.
and it's like Deb said, I hadn't looked at an algebra book in 15 years,
Yeah.
you know. And so I went out and I got algebra 1 and 2 for dummies
Right.
Mhm.
and taught myself again. And I passed when I wasn't supposed to because now the union gets involved. Once you pass the test, now the union gets involved.
Oh.
And if you're not supposed to, it's like, what are we going to do with this guy? We got to figure out a way to get him out. Well, they did. They got me out, but because they had their people already picked that they wanted
I
in.
see. They already had to be
Yeah.
They had their quota.
pre-picked. Okay.
That's kind of what usually happens in the medical profession. People, not everybody thinks, "Oh, my kid will be a doctor." If you have the right connections, yes, because they have only so many slots in the medical school,
Mhm.
and a lot of them go to the sons and daughters of the doctors who are
Pete, what I started off, and then let's get back to you.
Mhm.
If you want to go see these Bible, to the YouTube, and in the YouTube search engine, type in N period Z period, which stands for. Click on the two green islands, which is New Zealand, and up will pop about 75 Bible codes that have been revealed over the last 5 years, and you'll be astounded at what God has to say about things.
Right.
Yeah.
Israeli officials are reportedly investigating a possible Iranian connection to the murder of a senior MIT nuclear physicist, Professor Nuno F. G. I guess he says it's Lorero, who was reportedly shot in his home on Monday evening by unknown assailants and died in the hospital a few hours later. And he's the director of the Plasma Science and Fusion Center at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, whose faculty he joined in 2016. He was born and raised in Portugal, right? Earned an undergraduate degree from the Institute Superior Técnico in Lisbon and a PhD from the Imperial College in London. Like I said, they are the smart ones.
That's right.
Not our students. Then spent years at the Institute for Plasmas and Nuclear Fusion in Lisbon before moving to the United States. Professor Lorero distinguished himself by his intellectual rigor, his tireless dedication to science, and the significant contributions he made to the field of physics. His premature death is irreplaceable loss for the science and for all who worked and collaborated him. Portuguese President Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa said in his message of condolences for over this Larero's death. He was a respected theoretical physicist who did landmark research in plasma dynamics with applications ranging from the study of solar flares to the creation of fusion energy reactors. He admired the peerless intellectual caliber of the Plasma Science and Fusion Center at MIT and said he enjoyed teaching there as well as conducting cutting edge research. Now, we've got to wonder, I mean, was his what was this connection? If
Well,
if the possible connection.
I no more than mentioned to my wife tonight before I was leaving to come down here. I said, this could have international implications.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't 30 seconds later and Fox News said exactly this could have international implications because if somebody tried to assassinate this guy, there's a specific reason why they wanted this guy assassinated.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it says here, he said
He's
it's not
too close to something.
he's getting too close to something. It's not hyperbole to say MIT is where you go to find solutions to humanity's biggest problems. Fusion is a hard problem, but it can be solved with resolve and ingenuity, characteristics that define MIT. Fusion energy will change the course of human history, he said in a 2024 interview.
Yep.
Now, it remains to be seen. Was he really the victim of some sort of, and he's not, from what I can tell, and his name and everything, he's not Jewish.
No.
So
it had nothing to do with Jewishness.
No.
I think it had to do with knowledge.
Yes.
Somebody didn't want him to continue his research
Right.
for some reason or another.
Right.
And,
but why it's what the connections here is going to be interesting to see if they can work this puzzle. But yes, and if he was on the brink of, it's just like this whole thing with AI. How AI is going to change everything. Well, for whatever reason, it's not been stopped. They want it to change everything.
Right.
But if he had something that was going to change everything, were a bunch of people going to be out of business? Were they going to lose their money stream?
Very, very well.
What this kind of thing. So that's they care about AI do with the little people and their jobs. They don't care about that.
Right.
Big industries like all for that. Yeah, they've got the dark. We talked about that several months ago about the dark factory.
Let's say he developed a fusion that could be placed in every home and would provide that home. Mm-hmm. Well, who would want that stopped?
Yes, there's
a lot of people.
There's a lot of people who would want that stopped. So, so we don't know. We're speculating here. Yeah. So it's just something to ponder. But, like I said, they didn't care that AI was going to change because it basically it hurts the little guy.
Yeah. Well, we know AI is going to continue, and we know the reason we know that is because in the Bible. In Daniel chapter 9, the image that's in the temple when the Antichrist declares himself to be God, an image which is going to look like him and function, and it's going to be AI controlled.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's going to be a functioning image, and he's going to have control of everybody in the world, because remember, you can't buy or sell without the mark of the beast, without him knowing where you're going, what you're doing, whether you can't buy, you can't sell, without anything, without him not knowing that.
And Rabbi Vern has taught time and time again about the letters WWW, World Wide Web.
Right.
Now in Hebrew, that is Vav, Vav, Vav.
Right.
And every Hebrew letter has a numerical value.
Right.
And the numerical value of Vav.
Really?
So it's 666.
Wow.
So yeah, it's just something to think about.
Right.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that we don't see. Of course, Brother Vern's been showing those things. You can't see it in the English.
Right.
You have to see it in the old
Hebrew.
Marks in the manuscript. letters enlarged, things that don't mean anything. You can't translate it into English,
Right.
but it has a whole lot of picture significance
Right.
in the Hebrew.
Right.
So there's a lot that.
Speaking of pictures, I ran today. These pictures and types in the Old Testament
Mhm.
are very interesting. If you go to Exodus, guess when Moses went back to Egypt after he had met God in the burning bush on Mount Sinai, he put his wife and his child on a donkey, and they went back to Egypt. That's a picture and a type of exactly how Jesus is going to come into the Jerusalem. So
Interesting.
I had never thought of that before,
Mhm.
but not every type matches everything that happened in the Old or the New Testament perfectly. That's the thing about types and pictures; they don't match perfectly. But it's like Isaac, when Abraham was told to go sacrifice Isaac, Isaac Isaac carried his own wood
Mhm.
to his own sacrifice. And the type is the same with Jesus. Jesus carried his own cross to his own sacrifice.
Yes. Well,
Right.
So,
we've said
yeah.
before, the whole entire Old Testament, everything there is
Yeah.
a picture of Yeshua.
But
It's all a picture
we
of
don't
him.
see it all the time.
We don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, that's been
Yeah.
my
But I
that's
saw
been
that
my
for the first
argument.
time the other day. And I thought
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah, there's all of these shadows and types there.
Right.
The entire rabbi years ago was trying to do the teaching of the tabernacle,
Right.
right? And how everything there is a picture and an allusion to Yeshua.
Absolutely.
Every way, even to the way things are set up, in the manner that they're set up, even even the children of Israel and as they encamped, were encamping and in the form of a cross.
Right.
So everything was there.
Yeah.
And it's all pictured there. We just and like I said, even in the very text, there are things in there that are not. You have to you have to put the Hebrew roots back into the faith, or you're not going to understand the book from the when they just New Testament church, then you've missed it.
That's right.
You are not going to get the picture.
That's exactly
The
right.
entire book is about Yeshua. Everything from beginning to end. Now I know there's going to be Jewish people who say no, but
Well, that's
but
exactly what the Church of Christ does.
Yeah.
That is the Old Testament.
yes,
We don't have anything to do with the Old Testament. We're New Testament
Well,
church.
I know what I would tell you.
Yeah.
Start.
yeah,
That's
Start having
right.
something with the Old
Start.
Testament.
yeah,
Because there are prophecies in the Old Testament that still aren't fulfilled yet.
That's exactly right.
and you're not going to understand the book of Revelation, and you're not going to understand
Right.
any of that stuff until
Right.
you go back and understand that it's
Right.
coming from Jeremiah and Daniel and all of the Zechariah, all of the prophets. It's there is no division in that book. In fact, when Yeshua walked on the planet, there was no New Testament,
That's right.
right?
Right.
That's right.
And when the disciples were going around to all of these places, there was no New Testament.
That's
Nope.
right.
They were making the New Testament,
Yes.
right?
Yes. He was having the New Testament.
and so they, and what were they using to convince these people, the Jewish believers, about Yeshua? They were using the Old Testament.
Yes.
Right.
They were using the Greek translation of the Old Testament too.
Right.
So most of the quotes that we have today are all out of the Greek translation of the Old Testament, which was done around 300 BC.
And that's where Yeshua gets lost, because the old Hebrew is nothing but pictures.
Yes.
They're pictorials.
That's right.
And if you look at Genesis 1:1 and Bereshit, I mean, it's got oxen, and it's got, which is a strong leader, and it's got the sun, and it's got the nails, and all of these things that are pointing towards Yeshua.
Right.
You can't refute it.
Right.
That's right.
I don't know if you've ever heard Rabbi Verne teach that.
I have.
The whole entire gospel is contained within the entire first word of the Bible.
Really?
Bereshit.
Bereshit.
It's all there.
Yeah.
If you see it, especially in the Paleo Hebrew.
Right.
And so, anyway, looked it up. I think
Yeah,
we've got
it's
it
online.
somewhere.
It's
Do we
online.
have it on Rumble?
Yeah.
It's
Hebrew
somewhere.
lesson 1,
Hebrew lesson 1. It's there.
but
And
it's not the Hebrew lesson 1 of the latest what we've been doing. We're talking about 2 years ago
well, we don't have that
Hebrew
How do
anymore.
you
lesson.
access that?
On Rumble. Well, no,
No.
you're right. We don't have that anymore.
We don't have it
That's not
anymore.
on the catalog anymore.
Nope.
Nope.
Live stream's gone. So I will have to have Rabbi Vern teach that again sometime to put it on the Rumble. Anyway, just that part.
Mhm.
If we can get him to teach us that part. Sometimes
I'd like to hear
he
that myself.
yes.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, U.S. imposes sanction on 2 ICC judges over the Israel probe. The U.S. State Department announced on Thursday that it imposed sanctions on 2 judges on the International Criminal Court in The Hague over their forming an investigation to what it alleges are Israeli war crimes in Gaza.
Oh my.
Gocha Lord Kapansky, I guess, a
Yeah.
Georgian national, and Erdenabazaran Damdin.
I
These
guess
are
we could.
a Mongolian
I
national.
guess we could claim that there was all kinds of war crimes that we did over in Iraq
hmm
when we were bombed, when they bombed the on 9/11 the Twin Towers. You know,
Well,
you could,
these 2 people
Yeah.
voted in the ICC's appeals chamber on Monday to uphold the investigation, ruling that the examination of Israel's conduct in Gaza since October 7th fell within the scope of the ICC's wider probe from 2021, looking at all Israeli treatment of Palestinians in Gaza, Eastern Jerusalem, Judea, and Samaria since 2014. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio stated that the sanctions are part of an American policy to reject the ICC's claims of jurisdiction over the United States and Israel that are not party to the Rome which created the ICC. These individuals engaged in efforts by the ICC to investigate, arrest, detain, or prosecute Israeli nationals without Israel's consent, including voting with the majority in favor of the ICC's ruling against Israel's on December 15th, Rubio said. The ICC has continued to engage in politicized actions targeting Israel, which set a dangerous precedent for all nations, he added. We will not tolerate ICC abuses of power that violate the sovereignty of the United States and Israel and wrongly subject U.S. and Israeli persons to the ICC's jurisdiction. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu welcomed the decision on Thursday. And he said as long as the ICC refuses to abide by its own rules of complementarity or to accept that it has no jurisdiction over non member states, it cannot be treated as an institution of law. Rather, it must be viewed and treated for what it is, a hostile political body dedicated to destroying the nation states, first and foremost by unlawfully pursuing false prosecutions against the state of Israel and the United States. But they don't say anything about the war in Ukraine
Yeah.
with Putin
no,
against that. So there,
it's selective. What's the famous
it's as
actor that
bad
his
as the
wife
United Nations.
works for the International Criminal Court?
Oh, you're talking about
Recently, I heard that I think Trump is considering totally not allowing her to come into the United States.
She's done some bad things and
Yeah.
defended some bad people. So Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced Wednesday. Now this is one of the big news things that I saw coming down the line. The approval of the country's largest ever natural gas export agreement, a deal worth 112 billion shekels or 34.5 billion with a B dollars that will send fuel to Egypt through 2040.
Wow.
The agreement's energy company Chevron and Israeli partners is expected to generate about $17.9 billion in state revenue through taxes and royalties, with funds designated for education, health, infrastructure, and security. The deal also includes more than 16 billion shekels or 4.9 billion in direct investment. This deal greatly strengthens Israel's status as a regional energy power and contributes to stability in our region. I think not. But anyway, it encourages
Yeah.
other companies to invest in gas exploration in Israel's economic waters, Netanyahu said alongside Energy and Infrastructure Minister Eli Cohen following the approval. More gas will be found, but first and foremost, this deal obligates the companies to sell gas at a good price to you, the citizens of Israel. The revenue will start modestly at about $154 million annually during the first 4 years as companies expand pipeline infrastructure, then rise to about 1.9 billion per year, according to Netanyahu's office. Cohen called the agreement a historic moment that establishes Israel as a regional energy power. The approval includes mechanisms to prioritize supply and improve gas pricing for the local market. Natural gas is a strategic asset for the state. If you're wondering what some of the spoils might be,
Yes.
Prime Minister, you resolutely led the gas framework exactly a decade ago, and today we are reaping the fruits, Cohen said. Continue to work toward bringing in additional local and in companies to invest in Israel to increase reserves for the local market and export. So that was one of the big things today.
Well, that definitely could be some of the spoil that the northern kingdom comes down and attacks Israel for.
Right.
Yeah, in Ezekiel 38.
So now we're going to talk a little bit about the Bondi shooting incident. This is I'm trying to say I haven't properly given credit to some. That was from the Jewish News Syndicate. I'd be more careful to say where these news stories are coming from. I am not a news reporter, and I don't have my own little ticker thing that I get my information from. So I'm not part of the news feed or anything of that. So this is from Breitbart. It says Naveed Ahram, lone surviving suspect in Sunday's massacre at Bondi Beach in Sydney, was charged Wednesday with 59 offenses, including 15 counts of murder and one of committing a terrorist act. 40 counts of causing wounding, grievous bodily harm to person with intent to murder are also on the charge sheet. New South Wales police confirmed this per ABC News. Naveed Akim remains in hospital under police guard. The other gunman, his India-born immigrant father Sajid Akram, 50, was killed in an exchange of fire with the police at the scene. 15 people were murdered and dozens more injured in the attack. The case against Naveed Akim has been adjourned until April of 2026. Interesting.
5 months away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Police investigators now say indications point to a terrorist attack by the Islamic State, a listed terrorist organization in Australia. So ISIS is there.
Yeah.
2 homemade Islamic State flags were found in the car registered to Naveed and parked near the iconic beach. Police will allege in court that the man engaged in conduct that caused death, serious injury, and endangered life to advance a religious cause and cause fear in the community. Now, religious. That's being debated now, whether or not Islam is truly a religion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or if it is something like a political movement. And that's going to be interesting out because that may this whole quote unquote freedom of religion in that case they are stretching
Well, it's either
the term religion.
It's either called Islam, a political movement, or called being a Democrat a religion. So you can take your pick.
Yeah.
Right. It's the same thing. I mean, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
This I have said it over and over again. Islam does not separate church and state.
Yeah. Or you could be like Michael Savage and just say, well, it's all a mess.
Mm-hmm. It's.
I would like to say something about that. I bet the people on Bondi Beach. Bondi Beach.
And the only reason I know that on Facebook, I see these segments come up.
Yeah.
Bondi veterinary. There's a show evidently down there with vets the vets that treat animals, mainly dogs and kitty
Right.
cats, and it's Bondi vet, and so
Uh-huh.
that I hear them say it, Bondi.
Bondi.
So
Well, I bet you they did not think that they were going to be attacked for their
mm-mm.
Jewishness down there.
Well,
So the point that I'm trying to make is that there is a fund that's available from synagogues across the United States. It's with the federal government that they can access, which will allow them to purchase and get more security equipment for their synagogues and for the security of the people when they worship. And if you have any Jewish friends that attend the synagogue, I would recommend you make them aware of this and tell them they need to get professional security people in
Mhm.
there that evaluate their particular situation in their synagogue, the safety of it, and get them in there and do whatever upgrades need to be done to protect that synagogue.
That's true.
Yeah.
And the other thing I will add to it, though, I mean, I know that Amir Sarfati, he's saying, you know what? It's only going to get worse.
That's right.
And he said, you need to come home. You need to come to Israel. And he believes that this is part of what? I mean, all these people in Australia, he said, come back. He said, you can actually even, not, I mean, you can have a place, you can go to Israel and establish living, keep your property in these other places. But he said, you're going to have to come back to Israel because there's not going to be any place on the earth that's going to protect you like Israel
Right.
because it's happening.
Well, I would like to make one point here, which is that when the rapture occurs, right now, the only people that this can actually trust
Mm-hmm.
are Christians.
Yeah.
And now the problem with that is
Yeah.
not everybody that says they're a Christian is a Christian.
Well, I would say evangelical. They define us as the true evangelical Christians.
Right.
The people, because we've seen now with these people that are calling themselves Christian,
Right.
Tucker Carlson et
Right.
al. Are turning their backs on Israel.
Right. So what my point that I'm trying to make is that when the rapture occurs, all the real Christians are going to be gone.
Right.
And anybody after that you try to consult is going to be out to kill you.
Right.
And you can't even trust the Jews
Mhm.
because look what happened in World War II. The Jews turned on the Jews.
Right.
And
they did.
They worked for the Nazis to point out who the Jews were. And after they were all pointed out and had been killed, so to speak,
Yeah.
guess what? They killed the people who
Yes.
turned on them.
George Soros was doing that in Hungary. He and his father.
Yep.
When they're during World War II in Hungary. Yeah. So and it was all the people who owned the shops and the businesses and all that. They were the upper echelon along
Right.
with the Nazis.
Mhm.
Didn't work, did it?
No.
And I feel that's what the Democrats are doing with the Muslims right now. It's like, hey, if we get in good with the Muslims,
Right.
maybe they'll keep us around when they do everybody else. Guess what?
Right.
That ain't gonna
That ain't gonna
That ain't
happen.
going to happen.
And the
Yeah.
Muslims are seeing an opportunity to get into. We've talked about this, into the government. They are stepping up.
Right.
They are running for office.
Right.
They are getting involved in school boards. They are getting involved in the community.
Right.
They are setting up to make themselves look like, they'll set up things where they're going to help the poor. They
Right.
do all of these things
Right.
to set themselves up. Oh, aren't we just wonderful? And they're getting involved
Right.
Mm-hmm.
because, but their motivation is to make this nation an Islamic nation.
That's right.
And
Just
And
like
once
any other
they get
place.
into the position of power, things are going to change.
Things are going to change.
Yeah.
there was one mistake that was made in Australia. Ahmed Ali, when he disarmed son. Now, I don't know if he could operate that weapon or not, but the broadcaster who was covering this, and he rightfully didn't shoot the man after he disarmed him. Bull
No,
crap.
the gun was jammed.
Oh, the gun was jammed?
Yes.
Okay. Because I was like, if you ever get a chance and somebody's shooting somebody else,
Yeah.
you take the gun away and you shoot them.
Yeah, you should. Yeah.
If possible.
Yeah, that
You shoot them.
from what I understand, the
No.
gun was jammed. They were
Okay.
talking
well,
about
if
the
it was
incident.
jammed, then I understand.
That's tried to shoot
Jews. It's getting ready to come.
Mhm. They
And
don't have our book. They don't
no,
have they don't have
they don't know the end.
they don't know the end of it.
Right.
No. They're still
So
trying to appease and be accepted by the nations. That's why we mentioned the thing with Egypt.
right.
You know, that's probably not going to do what their wishes are,
Right.
what Prime Minister Netanyahu would hope it would. Police agents on Thursday detained seven men with a Middle Eastern appearance who were traveling in two cars to Bondi Beach in Sydney, Australia. A Jewish community leader to JNS, based on initial reports from the scene. The operation was apparently after police were tipped off. The community leader Robert Gregory, CEO of the Irish Association, told JNS. New South Wales Police said in a statement shortly after 8:15 that the operation had concluded and there was no ongoing risk to the community. Police had not identified any connection to the current police investigation of the bomb attack, the statement said. The statement did not say whether the detainees had been released or if anything had been recovered in their possession. Gregory said that in his understanding, police were responding to information that the men were headed to the scene of the December 14th massacre, in which the two suspected Jews murdered 15 people and wounded dozens more at a Hanukkah celebration. At least one car had license plates identifying it as registered in Victoria, the state south of New South Wales, whose capital is Sydney. Police rammed that car with a tactical operations unit vehicle before detaining the men. It remains to be seen exactly what happened. Police took it very seriously. It's quite intense policing for Australia. So they knew something with these seven men.
Yeah.
Gregory's among many critics of Australia's Australian authorities' policies in the lead up to the massacre. Anti-Israeli rallies featuring calls such as "globalize the" allowed to take place without intervention, even as anti-Semitic incidents quadrupled in Australia after October 7th, 2023. The police's handling of the attack itself has also come under criticism as footage emerged of police officers taking cover for long minutes as the perpetrators took aim and delivered rapid fire at the participants in the Hanukkah party.
Mm-hmm.
They killed at least two passers-by who tried to stop them and shot and killed a third who succeeded in here's, Captain Obvious. Australia's left-wing government finally admitted that the terror on Bondi Beach was likely motivated by radical Islam.
Oh boy.
After initially refusing to comment on the motive for the attack in Sydney that saw 15 people killed, Australian police and the leftist government of Prime Minister Anthony Albanese both admitted on Tuesday that the alleged attackers, Sajid and Naveed Akram, were apparently motivated by ISIS ideology. Like I said, Captain Obvious here. Yeah, anyway. So that's what they've been less than impressive.
The new president of Syria, ISIS.
ISIS, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
And I have Amir. He's not emailing me his news anymore. I have to go out there and work around to try to get Amir's weekly newsletter. But this is from Amir Tsarfati. And he said, I need to go through some things here before we go on with the rest of the stories here. But he says that greetings from beautiful Israel, where we are all wringing out our possessions and hanging them up to dry. It's been a very wet week, thanks to a visit from our dear friend Storm Byron. They were hit by this hurricane that had come through. And he says areas around the country were flooded as the land struggled to absorb the water once Byron left us. Even wet weather followed, hitting the Negev, our southern regions, particularly hard. The Negev is the area where one would find Gaza. And if you were to read many stories from the Qatari run Al Jazeera news service, you'd think that Israel was purposely making it rain harder on the Palestinians in the refugee areas.
There you
Yeah.
go. There you go.
He says, considering my nation's incredible technological advances, I understand they're jumping to that conclusion. But no, neither the Prime Minister Netanyahu or the IDF are responsible for the flooding in Gaza. Maybe the Palestinians should direct their ire at Hamas, whose wanton bloodshed and violence put the people in the position they now find themselves. And he, of course, he was saying that it was the fifth night of Hanukkah. He said it's a very special time that celebrates God's provision for his people. During the time of the Maccabean revolt, a Seleucid empire in the 2nd century BC. For those of you whose Hanukkah knowledge might be limited to what you learned years ago in an Adam Sandler song, I'd encourage you to
Happy Hanukkah.
I'd encourage you to watch The True Meaning of Hanukkah, an 8-minute video in which I give the history of the celebration and its importance to my people. And to all of you who are reading this, let me take the opportunity to wish you Hanukkah Sameach, or Happy Hanukkah. So, the assassination of Charlie Kirk caused an earthquake through the young adult generation in America and around the world. As we hold Israel watched the fallout, Gen Z's regarding Israel and its people became incredibly clear. That's the problem with the church, and we didn't educate the younger generation very well. That's why Charlie Kirk had to come along.
Yeah.
Through much prayer and discussion, we created a new vision within the Behold Israel ministry to see young adults awaken to the central role of Israel in God's plan, heart, and character, anchored in the truth of Scripture, reinforced historical, archaeological, political, and cultural realities. On Tuesday, I had a longtime staff member and recently appointed director of Young Adult Ministries, Jason Comans, on the Anchor podcast with me. And of course, in this compelling discussion, we discussed the ministry's vision to reach Gen Z and future generations. We talked about what Behold Israel can do to combat the lies, the deception that are bombarding today's young adults. I would encourage you to watch the video of the link below so that you too can catch the vision.
Behold, Israel is his.
It's his ministry. Not sure.
Okay.
With Behold Israel, and if you come on Sarfati,
Right.
that's him.
That's it.
But I don't, of course, if you got the newsletter, you would click on the link.
Right.
But I read that to say that every church, every group out there, you need to be taking heed of what he's saying,
Right.
because we have a young generation that knows absolutely nothing.
Right.
And they're being persuaded against Israel.
Right.
And they're, they have compassion for people. I understand their compassion. And they see like all of these things from basically the propaganda videos that came out of the Gazan jihad,
Right.
Hamas, they were putting out all this propaganda. Oh, the children are starving, the children are dying.
Right.
And it was all propaganda videos. Were there casualties in this? Yes. But Israel was not trying to systematically kill all of the people. In fact, they've done more to try to bring food and everything
Right.
into that region to help those people. We never did that during World War II.
No.
We never in the history of the United States did it in any conflict.
Right.
What Israel's done.
If you go to Behold Israel, that's one word, .org.
Okay.
.org. Yeah, that's what I thought it would be.
BeholdIsrael.org.
Okay. Yeah. But he discusses here. I've jumped to Amir here. He's discussing here on Sunday. Celebrators of Hanukkah gathered on Sydney's beautiful fire broke out, and suddenly people began dying. Those who could scramble to 2023, reminiscent of October 7th massacre by Hamas at the Nova Music Festival in Israel. The next to get hit. 15 victims lost their lives at the beach. The oldest victim was an 87-year-old Holocaust survivor. 10-year-old Matilda was the youngest to be slaughtered. The two animals behind the scopes of the hunting rifles were father and son. They were experienced, they were trained. Each victim, even little Matilda, could be clearly seen through the high-powered optics on their lawn where they pulled the trigger. Because of the seemingly lackadaisical or possibly cowardly response of some of the police, the two hunters had free rein over their prey for an insanely long time. Their only interruptions came from brave bystanders who attempted to stop them, at least two of whom lost their own lives in the process. When the police finally did step in, the Pakistani-born father was killed and his son wounded. Now the son faces 59 counts, including murder and terrorism. Sadly, this is the consequence of a government and a culture that has let run amok. Violent anti-Jewish protests are not rare in Australia, and law enforcement does little to stop it. Jew haters are emboldened to strike out, even to the of protesting at a memorial for the victims of the Bondi Beach attack. Yes, after this happened, they went back to have a memorial at Bondi Beach, and they had these protesters coming, free Palestine protester type of people coming to disrupt the memorial service.
That would have aggravated me.
Yep. Anti-Semitism has been normalized in Australia, and I don't believe the government has the will or the backbone to counter it. That is why I am calling on all Jews who live in Australia to come to your ancestral home in Israel. You will be welcomed with open arms, and you will finally feel safe once again. Like I said, I had mentioned that earlier. Attacks on Jews are not limited to Australia. In fact, in the past decade, acts of anti-Semitism have increased by 893%. Just this past year, there were 9,500 documented incidents.
Wow.
In the United States, on Saturday, a mass shooting took place in a Brown University class being taught by Rachel Friedberg, a Jewish professor who leads the school's Judaic Studies program. 2 people were killed and 9 others wounded. 2 days later, Professor Nuno Loureiro, he is a Jewish nuclear scientist from MIT, who had a sign supporting Israel in his window, was gunned down in his home in Brookline, Massachusetts. 1 day later, in New York City's Crown Heights neighborhood, a man began yelling anti-Semitic slurs at a person before stabbing him and running away. On the west coast of the United States, a house with Hanukkah decorations received 20 gunshots while shooters yelled, "Free Palestine." As I talked about last week, Europe is also facing a slew of anti-Semitic and anti-Christian threats and attacks. Violent Palestinian protesters disrupt a peaceful Hanukkah celebration in Amsterdam. Islamic terrorist plots on Christmas markets have been foiled in Poland and Germany. Paris has canceled its New Year's Eve celebrations because of the terrorist threat level, while Canada has announced to its people that an attack in their country is a realistic possibility. Back in California, the FBI in Los Angeles said they thwarted a New Year's Eve attack by pro-Palestinians who planned on planting 5 bombs around the city. From I remember that, they found like intense. I mean, we're not talking about just little bomb. I mean, they found some intense equipment. What is the common denominator in every one of these incidents at Bondi Beach? It is the anti-God hatred of Jews and more recently of Christians. As I have often said, once they deal with the Saturday people, they'll move on to the Sunday ones.
Yep.
While many leftist ideologies, the vast majority belong to Islam. While it says while many are leftist ideologies, the vast majority belong to Islam, the religion of peace. Governments worldwide bought into the pacifistic lie and threw open their doors to Muslim immigration, allowing into their countries a patient army willing to bide their time before they struck. What we are seeing now is that the time has become ripe for the silent soldiers to find their voice and their weapons. Unfortunately, this is going to get far worse in Europe and America before there is any hope of it getting better.
Absolutely.
While
That's
while
scriptural.
while governments around the world love to condemn Israel, many still find themselves knocking on the doors of our defense providers. Germany has just expanded by $3.1 billion its existing deal for the Arrow 3 missile interceptors, bringing the total order to more than $6.7 billion. In a Gulf region secret deal, the United Arab Emirates has signed a $2.3 billion strategic with Elbit Systems, an Israeli defense company. The deal with the UAE will focus on joint development of electronic defense system designed to protect both civilian and military aircraft. So Israel is prospering. And then he's got here Israel and Egypt may have many years of animosity between them. I know I lost an uncle aboard the INS Eilat 58 years ago during the war of attrition between the two countries. This is why it is so remarkable that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu just announced the largest gas deal in Israel's history. We just read that, right? And that this historical deal is not with none other than Egypt, worth $35 billion
What
over
is
the next
going
50
on with
years.
that pipeline that's going to Europe that we've talked about before? Is that still on the works or in the works?
Israel?
Yeah, it was going.
Oh, going to the
It was
Greek
natural gas.
through the
I
island of
forget what they called that thing,
I can't remember either.
but it was a natural pipeline to Europe.
From to the island of Crete, I believe, and then on through Greece, I believe, is what they were going to do.
But it was coming right from Israel.
I don't know. It says, but he's
Tim's
talking
looking
about
it up.
this
Maybe we'll get the info.
$5 billion over the next 15 years. This agreement will have gas from the Leviathan fields and will help foster a warmer relationship between the two nations through the years ahead. And then he says on Saturday, the IDF scored a major victory when it eliminated the number 2 man in Hamas. Ra'ad Saad was the head of weapons production headquarters in Hamas's military wing and one of the October 7th attack. He met his end in Gaza City. And then we have Saturday was a tragic day for the U.S. military. A lone ISIS gunman fired on the entrance to a military post in Palmyra, Syria. Iowa National Guard soldiers Sergeant William Howard, 29, and Sergeant Edgar Torres, 25, were killed, and 3 more soldiers were wounded, along with an American interpreter. The gunman was killed. These brave men are the first to have been lost in combat in President Trump's second term. And of course, we saw President Trump greeting the families and when the bodies were, he was standing there and saluting the bodies as they were being brought back. And then it says here, the flames between U.S. President Trump and Venezuela's President Nicolai Maduro cranked up to high this week when the former announced a blockade on the latter's oil exports until such time as they return to the United States of America all of the oil, land, and other assets that they previously stole from us. I am ordering a total and complete blockade of all sanctioned oil tanks into and out of Venezuela, Trump wrote on Truth Social. The stolen property refers to fields and equipment seized by former President Hugo Chavez more than a decade ago. Already, the U.S. military is being employed to destroy vessels used for running drugs shipments from Venezuela to America. If you want to know more about Amir Tsarfati, go to beholdisrael.org.
Okay, and they're talking about a major, this is under discussion.
Okay.
It's called the East Med Pipeline.
It's called what again?
The East Med
Pipeline.
It's a major underwater gas pipeline from Israel to Europe and has been proposed to export Israel's gas via Cyprus and Greece to Italy, aiming to diversify EU energy. But it faces high costs, technical hurdles, because it's deep. It's the part of the sea that this is going through is the deepest and the longest, and shifts in U.S. Support. Meanwhile, current exports often go via existing pipes, go to Egypt for the LNG liquefaction, re-export, and recent deals solidifying this route to Europe. So
they haven't built it yet.
That's under discussion, and they're saying because of how deep and how long this is going to be going, that it's going to cost a lot.
Yeah.
It may not, huh?
Right.
Well, at the time, if you remember, they were concerned about the fact that the pipeline coming from Russia had just been destroyed. So it was an alternate pipeline situation, energy source for Europe.
Yeah, the live stream pipeline 2 is what they called that one. But I wonder if they destroyed the first one too. I think it was Ukraine that did that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Could have been.
Oh yes,
East Med.
East Med. Yeah, it's not
East Med, yeah.
It's just it's still in the talking phase.
Okay.
So
I wondered where it was at.
I don't know. I mean, I know that the United States is big in that technology because, we run pipelines and things like that. So it's kind of amazing what the United States has done. But of course, big oil did it.
Right.
The oil pipelines that they've run.
Right.
So they've, everybody's like, oh, well, they got all this money. Well, that's why they bank all that money, because when they get a deal, then they got the money to do it. Everybody thinks they're greedy oil, they are, sticking away a lot of money for future exploration and things like that. Because just ask the Saudis. Things run dry in certain locations and they have to look for more.
Right.
So
that's when they start fracking Oman.
Yeah.
Getting
Yes,
into
right.
wars that way.
Yep. Police in London arrested 2 people who called for intifada during a pro-Palestinian protest, which followed a decision by authorities to toughen enforcement of hate speech laws after a deadly attack on a Hanukkah celebration in Australia. Oh, now they are in the UK. Really?
Yeah.
The arrest Wednesday came hours after police in London and Manchester, England announced a crackdown on protesters using slogans such as globalize the intifada. The Arabic word intifada is generally translated as uprising, while pro-Palestinian demonstrators say the slogan describes the worldwide protests against the war in Gaza. Jewish leaders say it inflames tensions and encourages attacks on Jews, including the attack that killed 15 people on Sunday at the Bondi Beach in Sydney. This is, they're talking. Gaza was a nice little out for them, right?
Yeah.
This is all part of the Muslim Brotherhood, and these things that this whole globalize the intif. They're not talking about just Jews.
Nope.
They're not talking about, we're protesting against God, what is done in Gaza. No.
They're not here to coexist.
Right.
No, they're here to put their foot down and claim it for their God Allah, and everywhere they set their foot, and they're going to change it, and they're over.
Right.
So this is, don't let that rhetoric come along and just you got to keep your head say, that's not what you're talking about.
Again, too many Democrats. Oh, it's not going to be bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be bad.
Yeah, right.
We're not the Middle East.
Right.
Well, we soon will be.
That's not how that works. The Southern Transitional Council, these stories from Breitbart, the Yemeni separatist movement that abruptly abandoned its alliance with the deposed national government last month, began snapping up oil-rich territory in southern Yemen, is urging the United States to support them against the Iran-backed Houthi extremists in the northern half of the country. So we've got some southern Yemenis who are trying to fight back against the Houthis. Now, who's worse than the other? I don't know. I don't know anything about these people.
I've never heard of them before.
The STC is a government that has always insisted on being distinct from the Presidential Leadership Council, the internationally recognized national government that fled to the port city of Aden after the Houthis' capital Sana'a in 2014. The STC began reminding everyone of just how distinct it was by taking control of 2 strategic southern provinces in early December. On Wednesday, the group added a 3rd province to its conquests and said it is gearing up for a major offensive against the Houthis to dislodge them from Sana'a. The STC is refusing demands from both the PLC and the United States to withdraw from the territory it has occupied. I wonder if Mossad's involved at all. I wonder. We'll see. Some STCs have justified their territorial conquests by saying the PLC government is too weak and passive to fight the Houthis. So it was time for the more energetic STC to take the wheel. Ahmed Atef, the representative to the United Nations, made a version in an interview on Wednesday for the more energetic STC to take the wheel. It says Atef said the STC's swift conquest of the oil rich southern provinces was a major success that proved the separatists have the willpower and capability to defeat the Houthis. We have the slogan of death to America, death to Israel, which is really very unacceptable, he said. The Houthi slogan is full of Allahu Akbar, death to the United States, death to Israel, curse the Jews, victory for Islam. Atef warned that if the Houthis retain control of Sana'a and northern Yemen, they will continue threatening maritime traffic in the Red Sea, continue threatening us in the south and Saudi Arabia, and continuing threatening the UAE in the Gulf region. Atef stressed that the ultimate goal of the STC remains independence for southern Yemen, which he billed as a more stable and secure nation that would be friendly to the Western world. Once we got this front against the Houthis strengthened and emboldened with the support of the international community in the United States, that is going to help us very much on the ground to continue our fight and bring stability and peace to the region. The Unified Republic of Yemen has only existed for 35 years. Before that, southern Yemen was a dire Marxist People's Republic that fell apart when subsidies from the collapsing Soviet Union dried up, and before that, it was a British protectorate centered around Aden. Northern Yemen, on the other hand, was a property of the Ottoman Empire until the empire disintegrated after. Yemen could break into more than two pieces if the STC gets its way, given the multitude of armed factions that have gained strength in the country since the Houthi insurgency. Although Atef and the other spokesmen claim that they have the strength to keep all the southern and eastern factions in line. The PLC, on the other hand, appears to have little influence or military strength. Some of its leaders fled from Aden to Saudi Arabia when the STC began conquering provinces. The highest ranking member of the PLC government remaining in Yemen is probably Vice President Idris al-Zubaydi, who also happens to be the leader of the STP. Saudi forces are amassing along the border of Yemen and have launched some artillery strikes against targets in the border region. The STC is strongly backed by the Saudis' Gulf allies, the United Arab Emirates, but the Saudis support the PLC and might even be willing to use air strikes to force the STC to relinquish control of the province it has taken. This is it.
Mm-hmm.
The STC has already refused at least one public demand from the Saudis to withdraw from the oil province of Hadramaut. So far, Saudi Arabia has tried strategic patience, but I do not think that will last. It does not mean it will necessarily go into a direct war with the UAE and Yemen. But Yemen is a poor country with too many young fighters and too many proxies. Both sides are putting all their cards on the table. Chatham House researcher Faria al-Muslini told the UK Guardian on Thursday, with much of what has happened is not surprising for Yemen observers. The optics is too humiliating for Saudi Arabia. This is playing out on its borders, not those of the UAE, al-Muslini said. So I didn't realize there was all that upheaval in Yemen. I really don't know that much about it. Need to get out I have my big world map. I'll go home and take a look and see what Yemen looks like. But it's split all apart with all kinds of things going on there. So instability everywhere. But this, I found an unusual headline. Syria's ousted dictator Bashar Assad fled to Moscow when he was driven from power and has reportedly settled into a new life as a celebrity ophthalmologist.
Oh, yeah.
Since his usefulness to the Russian government has come to an end.
Mm.
Bashar Assad received a degree from Damascus University in Syria and practiced at an eye hospital in London before the death of his father Hafez in the year 2000 that brought him back to inherit the family's cruel throne.
Mm-hmm.
Western critics marveled at the contrast between the brutality of the younger Assad's regime and his medical oaths.
Yeah.
While dissidents in Damascus taunted the doctor and predicted he would be the next strongman to fall in the Arab Spring uprisings of 2011. The dissidents were wrong about that. Assad launched a brutal civil war to remain in power that turned Syria into one of the world's humanitarian disasters over 13 grueling years. He almost lost the war at what became a pivotal halfway mark, but heavy financial and military intervention by his patrons in Russia and Iran kept him in power as the war dragged on. In December of 2024, Russia and Iran were so weakened by their other military adventures that an alliance of jihadis insurgents managed to seize Damascus in a lightning fast offensive, and the Assad family fled to Moscow. A friend of the family told the UK Guardian on Monday that 1 year later, Bashar Assad is studying Russian and brushing up on his etymology again. It's a passion of his, they say. He obviously doesn't need the money. Even before the war in Syria began, he used to regularly practice his ophthalmology in Damascus, the friend said, delicately a sizable chunk of the Syrian national that Assad absconded with.
Yes. Billions.
So, it says here, according to the Guardian's other sources, the Assads are likely to reside in prestigious Rubyevka. Gosh, it's hard to say Russian words. A gated community elite, which is the same gilded cage where Russia's former man in Ukraine, Viktor Yanukovych, has lived for the past decade. All of the bad guys go there, huh? The family friend said Assad's pampered post-dictatorial life, only one. Oh. As he has little contact with the dismayed former henchmen he left behind in Syria, and the Russian regime has no further use for him.
Right.
Putin has little patience for leaders who lose grip on their power, and Assad is no longer seen as a figure of influence or even an interesting guest to invite to dinner. Assad allegedly left all of his allies and servants twisting the wind when he fled Damascus, lined his pockets, and hopped on the first helicopter out of the palace as the rebels closed in. After helping his wife Asma through experimental Russian treatments for her leukemia, Assad expressed a desire to rehabilitate his image. Oh, really?
You know what this is, ladies and gentlemen? We're going to interject here. And we do this from time to time. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a Mad Hatter.
Yes. Yep.
Continue.
Yes, it says here, but the Putin regime scuttled his planned media blitz, apparently preferring for the world to forget about him. And if once in Russia, you do as Mr. Putin says, right?
Right.
Have you heard anything from him? You haven't, because he's not allowed to. But he's safe and alive. Russian ambassador to Iraq, this has been cut off. Growled in a November interview, marking one of the few times Russian officials have commented on their obsolete former client. Judging from some comments by Bashar Assad's 24-year-old son and former heir apparent, Hafez, the Syrian dictator was planning to tell the world that he did not willingly abandon his allies or his throne in Damascus, but was pressured to leave by the Russians. Well, look at that, biting the hand that's helping you out there, right? This could go a long way towards explaining why the Bashar Assad media comeback tour of 2025 never happened. Assad's plans to move out of Moscow to a more congenial retirement in the United Arab Emirates has apparently been nixed as well, in part because murdering former strongman of Syria is a little too radioactive even for the highly flexible Emiratis to entertain as a guest.
Right.
So while the Guardian report suggested Assad's wife and children are spending his ill-gotten fortune on luxury goods and cruise ships in Moscow, Reuters reported in early December that senior figures from his inner circle are funneling millions of dollars to loyalists in Syria and plotting to overthrow the government of President Ahmed al-Sharaa. Aha.
He's planning on coming back.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, once you have that taste of power, you
Mhm.
like to keep that power.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, two of the men once closest to Assad, Major General Kamel Hassan and billionaire Rami Makhlouf, are competing to form militias in coastal Syria and Lebanon made up of members of the minority Alawite sect, long associated with the Assad family, Reuters found. All told, the two men and other factions jostling for power are financing more than 50,000 fighters in hopes of winning their loyalty. Hassan is allegedly dreaming about arming and funding a sectionalist movement among the Alawites, the offbeat sect of Shia Islam that Assad and his ruling elite belong to, while Makhlouf thinks he can win an apocalyptic final battle with the insurgent junta. They both have access to money, weapons, and hidden bunkers built during the Assad regime, but they are struggling to attract backing from outside powers for their planned uprising. They also reportedly hate each other too much to cooperate. And neither of them seems able to win over Bashar Assad's brother Ma'er, an influential military leader who still commands some loyalty from the Syrian army veterans. Ah, the tangled web that is woven there, right?
Yeah.
So,
Wow. That soap opera gets deep.
deep, yes. Started at 7:30. It's 9 o'clock. Typically, we do go 2 hours, but we could cut the show shorter because I am down to a story.
We'll go right ahead.
That's up to you.
So,
If you have a teaching or something you want to do.
the only thing is, I was going. It's rather long. It's what Perry Stone had written about Ezekiel 38 and 39.
I would do that at another time.
Yes, so we would have to plan. And as I said, we're not going to week, but we could be coming back January 1st.
Okay.
And we maybe could start out with that.
Well, that would be a good thing
Um,
for the new
yeah.
year.
For the new year. And to go through some of that. I will have completed my Bible reading again this year, and we'll have read through the whole thing. But I kind of wish in his comment that he had another little book that all of his commentaries in there, he could take that and just take them, and put it in a book that you could just read through all of
Commentaries,
the commentaries. But maybe he'll do that sometime. He's actually, Perry Stone has been going through heart. He had blockages, and so this morning they had to go through and clear. He had one vessel, I think, that was like 90% blocked.
Wow.
So they had to clear
That's
that
not
one
good.
out. He had another one that was 50% blocked, but they said it didn't seem to be getting any worse and didn't seem to be the thing that was causing him any problems. So they didn't touch that one.
Where's Perry Stone? His office.
He is in.
I'm just curious. What state is he in? You know?
Yeah, I did. It's in. He's Tennessee. He's or is he Tennessee? He's away in the eastern part of the state he's in.
Yeah.
He's had conferences I've wanted to go to, but there's no easy way to get there from here.
Yeah.
And it's a very long distance away.
Yes.
I can't remember.
It's almost to the East Coast, isn't it?
Yeah, he's Perry Stone is in I can't remember because he'll say, and I kind of like,
Isn't he in Cleveland, Tennessee?
Cleveland, Tennessee. That's it. But it's like, it's not near Nashville. It's not near, it's not near anything. It's like over to the east. It's not even near Asheville, North Carolina. It's
Wow.
like, it's just kind of like way up it's almost is it on the Indiana border?
It's in a place called Whisperwood.
Yeah, it's
an Arrowhead Point. It's kind of on the outskirts. But yeah, it's close to, well, it's inside Cleveland. It's inside. There's
Cleveland,
and
Tennessee.
North Cleveland, and then
Cleveland, Ohio?
No, Cleveland, Tennessee.
It is Cleveland, Tennessee. Yeah, Cleveland, Tennessee. But he's like I said, it's like, man, there's no easy way to get there. It's off the beaten path.
Well, that's what I thought, and I couldn't remember what state he was in.
Yeah. And he I thought it was Tennessee, but I thought, am I right? I think it is.
Yeah.
But I couldn't remember the name. Cleveland, because my mind it goes to Cleveland, Ohio, you know. But there's all, of course, these different things all over. So, was there anything else? Oh, there was one thing. Gosh, let me see if I can pull it up. That because we are to the archaeological things. Um, and I posted it on here, but it would take me. See how slow it moves through the timeline here. It take me a little bit of a minute here to get down to this, um, of the of where this is at. But I thought it was interesting, um, and I looked it up, and indeed, it they did have this archaeological find back in 1939, but not much is written about it. In terms of the way this person wrote about it. Let me see. Come on, where are you? There we go. Right here. This is written by. It was posted by somebody named Tracy Costin on Facebook. I don't know Tracy Costin, but it says here in 1939, archaeology invading the ancient city of Alalach, I think is how they say it, modern Tel Shana, near the Turkey-Syria border. They uncovered a statue of King Edrimi, dated to around 1550 BCE. 1550 BCE. What they found carved into the statue stunned historians. The inscription records Edrimi fleeing south to the land of Canaan, where he lived for 7 years among a people called the Habiru.
Habiru.
This matters because Habiru or Hapiru is linguistically linked to Hebrews,
Right.
the descendants of Eber, the same ancestral line scripture assigns to Abraham's family. Even more striking, this is one of the earliest archaeological mentions of the land called Canaan.
Mm-hmm.
Or Canaan, right? The exact biblical name used in Genesis.
Canaan.
And the timing,
I heard that before.
Kind of on.
Canaan.
Yeah.
The timing aligns with Jacob and his clan living in Canaan generations before Israel ever went down to Egypt. Okay, that's important. Is Jacob and his clan living in Canaan before Israel went down to Egypt,
Right.
right?
Right.
Idrimi describes sacrifices involving lambs and released birds, rituals consistent with Hebrew sacrificial practices described in Genesis and later Torah law, right? This directly challenges the modern claim that the Hebrews only emerged as an Egyptian offshoot.
Yeah.
Archaeology says otherwise. The Hebrews were already in Canaan with their identity, worship, and customs exactly where the Bible says they were. Once again, archaeology is catching up to Scripture.
Amen.
So
It will always do that.
yes. So
Yeah.
I think I was talking to the fact that her last name was, I think her name was Eilat Mazar, and she was the one that was in charge of digging the city of David. Okay. She unexpectedly passed away, I think, in her 50s. She was the granddaughter of a great archaeologist over there, Mazar. It's the Mazar family. And anyway, she was not really what you call an active practicing Jew, right? She really, I don't know if she was an agnostic Jew. I don't know. But she used the Bible for her archaeological digs, which a lot of archaeologists won't do. But she considered it a reference, a textual reference,
Right.
and she would strike upon these places, and they would be correct because she was using the Bible. And they did not, during her lifetime, they'd not want to give her the credit for finding the city of David. But after her passing, they all posthumously credited her with that. So she fought against them. They tried every way in the world to say, no, you didn't find the city of David. They did. And what'd she do? She used her Bible. So, you know, that's interesting. But this is a Hanukkah story. You can't quite see it there. It's been cut off. But a rare 1,300-year-old lead pendant decorated with a menorah symbol uncovered. So it says, how did an ancient pendant made of cast lead, decorated on both sides with a 7-branched menorah, come to Jerusalem at a time when Jewish presence in the city was restricted? A very rare personal necklace pendant from the 6th or early 7th centuries Common Era, the late Byzantine period, was recently discovered in a large-scale archaeological excavation at the Davidson Archaeological Park of Jerusalem, conducted by the Israel Antiquities Authority in cooperation with the City of David Foundation and the Company for the Development of the Jewish Quarter. The find is decorated on both sides with an identical image of a 7-branched menorah and was apparently worn by a Jew who arrived in Jerusalem during the period when Jews were prohibited from entering the city. One day, while I was digging inside an ancient structure, I suddenly saw something different, gray among the stones, says Ayayu Belet, or Belet, a City of David worker. I picked up the object and saw that it was a pendant. I think he said he picked the object. Sometimes they don't get the English right in here. And saw that it was a pendant with a menorah on it. I immediately showed the find to Esther Rocco Mallet, the area director, and she said it was an especially rare find. I was deeply moved and excited. The object bearing the menorah decoration was discovered within a layer of rubble inside a late Byzantine period building. The structure, together with contemporaneous buildings, was subsequently buried underneath an 8-meter thick layer of fill covering all architectural elements from the late Byzantine period. This thick layer of fill was piled up in the area of the construction activities associated with the erection of monumental Umayyad structures in this part of the city of Jerusalem at the beginning of the century. The pendant was designed as a disc with a loop at the top, most likely intended to be worn on a necklace. Both sides of the pendant depict a 7-branched menorah highlighted by a circular frame. One side was well preserved, while the other covered with patina, a natural layer of weathering. Each menorah design displayed 3 arms on either side of the central shaft. Each arm is a horizontal crossbar with flames rising above it. The original menorah on the square was designed.
Yeah.
And it says here, an XRF test conducted at the Israeli Antiquities Authority's analytical laboratories and performed by artifact conservator Ilya Rezninsky found that the pendant contains approximately 99% lead.
That will poison you.
You'd better not be wearing that right next to your skin. According to Dr. Yuval Baruch, Dr. Philippe Vukosovic, Esther Mellet, and Dr. Shmulamit Terem, researchers at the Israel Antiquities Authority, a pendant made of pure lead decorated with a menorah is an exceptionally rare find. Research has identified pendants of glass and other metal with a menorah, but we know of only one other pendant in the world bearing the symbol of the menorah made of lead. That pendant, of unknown origin, is housed in the Walters Art Museum in Baltimore, USA. The double appearance of the menorah on each side of the disc indicates the deep significance of this symbol and the central place of the menorah in the visual expression of connection to the temple and its memory, even in periods long after the destruction of the temple. Historical sources indicate that during the Byzantine period, Jews were prohibited from entering Jerusalem. This fact makes it difficult to understand the significance of the finds decorated with the menorah symbol in their historical context. Are these random finds? Were they private objects of Jews who came to the city for various reasons, perhaps merchants or those on administrative missions, or individuals who came to the city as a secret pilgrimage and under unofficial circumstances? Dr. Yuval Baruch of the Israel Antiquities Authority, who has been directing the excavations at this site for about a quarter century and who studied the subject of menorahs, emphasizes that this is an unusual find. This pendant bearing the symbol of the menorah is not just a material object, it is a personal seal, an emblem of memory and identity. It really belonged to an anonymous Jew who chose to wear it around his or her neck. This choice is not only the essence of a personal commitment to one's religious faith and perhaps even an expectation of that unanimously unrecognized person who held the artifact for national revival, but it also attests that during periods when imperial edicts were issued prohibiting Jews from residing in the city, they did not stop coming there. It can be further surmised that the choice to use lead rather than one of the more common materials for making jewelry suggests that the owner of the object wore it as an amulet, not jewelry. There is a strong basis to this contention because lead was considered a common and particularly popular metal for making amulets at that time. Dr. Baruch emphasizes during the Byzantine period, the menorah became a symbol of national memory, and it expressed the expectation of national revival among the Jewish communities in the land of Israel and the diaspora. They adopted it in exactly the same way. Moreover, in recent years, there is an increased archaeological evidence that shows that Jews, despite all the difficulties imposed on them, found ways to reach Jerusalem. And it is possible that there were even settled there. Israeli Minister of Heritage Rabbi Am Eliyahu summarizes the exciting find of the menorah joins a series of testimonies that continue to be discovered in Jerusalem and that tell the story of the continuity and devotion of Jewish people in the city. Even during the periods when Jews were prohibited from entering Jerusalem, the connection to this holy place did not cease. I invite the public to see and get impressed by this rare find as part of the Heritage Week events led by the Ministry of Heritage during the Hanukkah holiday. And the rare memorial pendant will be presented to the public for the first time during Hanukkah as part of a family tours and activities taking place at the J. and Jeannie Schottenstein National Campus for Archaeology of Israel in Jerusalem. So, and it has slightly curved. It's kind of interesting. It's not straight branches, and it's not curved branches. It's just a little
45-degree angle.
Yeah. So, we read some of that the last time about were they straight branches or curved branches.
Right.
So, and we had to, of course, straighten ours because our other menorah had problems holding the weight, the curve into the joints. It was difficult for the weight to hold up.
Mm-hmm.
I think our current one is a little bit more stable.
I think so too.
Yeah.
The arms were, well, I mean, and part of it too, we used bigger diameter PVC pipe for the new one as the old. They were using 1.5 inches.
Yep.
Now we're using 3.
Ah.
So
3 inches.
that'll make it sturdy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So,
much stronger.
Much stronger. So, well, we have reached the end of the archaeology stories and the end of our program on this 5th night.
Mhm.
And so, tomorrow evening we will be here for the Shabbat service. And like I will remind everyone again, next week we will not be here. So we won't have a live program next week, and we won't have Shabbat service either. So, but you can join us again on January 1st for our program back in 2026. We won't be back till next year.
Right. So just a programming note. We may be doing on January 1st. We might.
Yeah.
So just be on the lookout for that. So if you turn into Rumble or YouTube or Twitch and you see, something with 1/1 of 26 on it, we've probably already done the show, but go ahead and watch it anyway.
Yeah. I think Jim is telling me he doesn't want to do the show in the evening. He wants to do it earlier in the day. He keeps saying, we may be going to do it earlier. we may be going to do it earlier. It's like, I don't know if we're going to do it earlier, but I think that's what he wants. So we'll see. We'll see how quickly I can get the show together. Right. We'll see.
I said
about it.
maybe.
Yeah.
I didn't say will be.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe.
Yeah. We'll see.
You know.
Depends on the weather too.
Yeah.
I think we're still, I don't know. I'll have to take a look and see
It's
what it's going to be.
you know,
But
it's
we're going to
not-
be
it's
balmy for Christmas.
It's
so.
not a command.
Yeah.
Just request.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know.
So, anyway, do you have a ball game or something you're wanting to watch that night? A football game, or
I
is there
have
something-
to. I have to get up early and go to St. Louis the following morning
Ah, I
for
see.
doctor's appointments.
Okay, I see. So, there must be a legitimate reason here. So there you go. But anyway, so
No,
we'll try to
I
work it
don't-
out. Maybe we will get that.
Ball
maybe,
games on TV doesn't interest me that much anymore.
I
So-
didn't know. I mean, you and your dad sometimes get together and and watch things. And
that's for
have
him, though.
schedules.
Yeah.
So you never know. All righty. We'll do our best. We'll be here again, like I said, not until next year. Oh, my goodness.
That's
Mhm.
So, everyone out there, I hope that you have a blessed holiday season, that you get to spend time with loved ones, family, and friends, and get to do all the things that you want to do, and that you're safe, and that, we, of course, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. We pray for the peace of the United States of America. We pray for our president, that he will be guided into all of the things that
That's right.
that he needs to know, and to deal with the situations that are facing us in this upcoming year.
And
Right?
who was it that kept saying all the time, keep looking up, that said that?
Well, that was
Oh.
Casey Kasem. Keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars.
Yeah. No, but there was somebody that just said, "Keep looking."
Well, somebody said that, keep looking up.
Yes.
And, I've personally thought that 2026, 2027, and 2028, we're now getting into the area that I've anticipated for years. Is I think we're getting in very close to the time period in which the rapture could occur.
Yes.
And
Yep.
yeah, that's my
So-
personal opinion.
So
So keep looking up, folks.
keep looking up. Yes.
Yes.
And if you want to support this program and keep it coming your way, Jim will tell you how.
If you'd like to make a donation, you can send it through the congregation Adat Ariel, 1301 Enterprise Way, Suite 63, Marion, Illinois, 62959. That's congregation Adat Ariel, 1301 Enterprise Way, Suite 63, Marion, Illinois, 62959. And in your envelope, stick a little note in there. Tell us how you like your donation to be used.
Well, Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy Hanukkah.
Merry
Hope that you
Christmas.
have a blessed time. And we will see you again in the new year. And until that time,